So, one very minor benefit of my teammates being very good at this game is that every once in a while they secretly sneak out and play really effing well. In this case, my amazing teammate Kris Kaseman took 11th at the PPG regional that just happened, and because we were on stream when he found out that he did really well, I got to do a very sudden interview and deck profile on it. So here you go. This is that. It should be a good amount of fun. I also definitely didn't make fun of him while reviewing all of the top 16 deck lists for the fact that he has one not alt-arted card in his entire deck. So you can see it when I also make fun of him for it here. It's Royal Knights, in case you hadn't guessed that part. I hope y'all have fun with it. God, that is so freaking shiny.
Right? So good. I don't even know where to start with this deck list because everything's a level 6.
Well, I mean, for one thing, you have the annoyingly magical ability to always draw your Omechas.
Didn't happen very often today.
Didn't happen today. Oh, rude.
Right?
Rude. Well, let's just start with, what Royal Knights are you not running?
Not running Kentaros and...
Sorry, my watch is gonna yell at me.
You're fine. I'm not running Kentaros. I'm not running... I think that's it, actually. I got at least one.
You're running EX3...
Exa, yeah.
Yeah, Exa, but not BT13 Exa, but I think that's pretty standard at this point.
Actually, in the mirror, they were running EX3, so...
That feels odd, but okay.
Yeah.
So, then I guess the next important one is, what Royal Knights are you only running... what are you running the least of?
Okay. So the things I'm running the least of... is... I'm only at 2 Jesmon.
Okay.
I'm only at 1 Lord Knight. 1 Exa, 1 BT12 Gallant.
Okay.
So, Exa's good pop for small bodies.
I think you mean Jesmon, but okay.
Yeah, Jesmon. It's been a long day.
Oh yeah, it's been 9 hours.
Yeah, Jesmon is good removal, right? When you Omni with a Jesmon is amazing because immediately Jesmon also has the alterns that boosts everything by 1,000 per Royal Knight.
Yeah.
And Sistermon. So this gets you really big blockers if you have to play it out early. If you Omni before you can close game.
Yeah.
Jesmon then makes your Cranias.
It also makes your swing safer too, right?
It does, but this deck doesn't really care about that. Because again, when you're swinging, you really want to be going for game. If you're stalling, Jesmon is great because you just are okay, I had to pass turn to play the Omni to bring everything out, but my blockers are now huge, and I get to pop something decently sized, right?
Or multiple bodies since it is the total DP deletion.
Exactly. Yeah. I used Jesmon on the Bloom Hydra matchup a few times to get rid of all the small bodies.
Yeah.
Because that gets real annoying. So why, I like Jesmon at 2.
Yeah. Why only the 1 Lord Knight?
Lord Knight is kind of it's the backup plan, I would say.
Okay.
Because on play, Lord Knight pulls 1 Royal Knight from trash to hand. Mm-hmm. And then the opponent's turn, when they swing, they lose 1 memory for every Royal Knight you have in play.
Oh, okay.
Lord Knight doesn't do much else. You don't want to. It's not fun to swing with. So even if you do Omni and have to pass turn, or you get some swings in, but you can't cinch game, you don't swing with Lord Knight because Lord Knight is your steal the turn back card.
Makes sense. Yeah. It's
very.
You're using it the same way I'm using the BO in a lot of cases in Shine.
Exactly. So Lord Knight doesn't feel great in the deck. I used it once all day, and I didn't even want to. It kind of just I had to.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I ended up pulling the wrong card from trash. So
no, okay.
It was in the mirror. Lord Knight came out. I grabbed a Magna when I should have grabbed an Alpha. I still won, but I was like, I could have made a better play with it.
Makes sense.
It comes up so rarely. It's kind of hard to really get the full value out of Lord Knight. So I don't use it very often. And it being 11k, the 11ks feel surprisingly easy for the opponents to pop. I felt that a lot today.
Okay.
This Examon, I would almost go up to 2 of. This Examon is amazing. Because this is bigger than everybody else's boss monster right now. Like,
Yeah.
the top end of most decks is 12k. I can suspend it, get a check, and then kill it. So it's super valuable. This
Right,
Examon is
you're
amazing.
almost never having to deal with a burst mode who is bursted during your turn, since most people are doing the burst evolution. How often, I have to ask, did you actually Evo into it?
Never. I forget you can DNA the Exa, but I very rarely have the Leopard and the Ulforce out to DNA.
Okay. I personally, I always forget that Ulforce is the only blue one, so.
Yeah, and I think Leopard's my only green.
Yeah. But
So,
I know I happen to know for sure that you run more Leopards than Ulforce.
No, 3 and 3. So,
really? Oh, I thought you were only a 2 on Ulforce. Okay.
Oh, I really like Ulforce. But yeah, this card is amazing. Always want to put it into sources early, so if I have an opening hand with Purge and Omeka, it's a toss-up between Exa, Gallant, and Leopard for the first card to go into sources.
Makes sense.
I'm leaning Exa just for the simple fact that Exa can be purged out with Rush, and it does a ton of work.
Yeah.
Really like the Examon in this deck.
So what does the BT12 Gallant really do for you? Because you were very on board with this from the second that someone reminded you it existed.
Yeah, so this is actually really good for hate rookies removal, or if I can't pop something, so say like the other Gallant only hits a 6 down, 13 up. If they have that out, again, this Gallant needs to come from Purge or just Purge the Royal Knights. That way I can raid, so if I'm playing a Black War Gray player specifically, and they've got like a 7k on board, and I don't have another piece, this is a great way to get rid of that, because I can swing. If I can't pop anything, I get to trash the security and raid into their unsuspended level 5, kill it. I'm still getting a free security check. I'm still potentially popping a hate rookie if I'm not getting the trash security, and I'm raiding into something and disrupting game plans. I really like it. It didn't come up a ton today, but I did use it against security control.
Okay.
Quite a bit, where I would just promote this, swing, trash the security, and get a check in, and it helped me get through a couple Holy Waves, a Flame Hell Scythe, and a couple other things.
Right, because
so
you had one game against Set Control?
I did. One game against Setcon.
Okay.
And I really like this card. I built this deck very toolboxy, so having this as just like a one of, I think is a perfect count for it.
Mm-hmm.
We then have like the 3 ofs. Well, I guess I have a couple more 2 ofs if you want to go through those.
Sure.
So, like,
oh, right, yes, you got the Phascomons. I always forget about the Phascomon. Or not Phascomon, Porcupamon.
Porcupa, the 1 of Ciel. Is that all of them? And then the 2 Marcuses, right?
Yeah. I feel like the Marcus is pretty well established tech at this point, because it's just...
Yeah.
Memory setter, also it probably kills a hate rookie.
This actually almost saved me in the Hunter's game, because he hit it out of security. I was able to reduce his Arrestramon from 14 down to 11 to make it blockable again, to prevent him from swinging end of turn with it.
Ah.
So Marcus and Porcupa serve the main purpose of removing hate rookies.
And then just occasionally they do extra bonus work.
Exactly. And then Marcus is really nice. Like, if I don't have a great play, I played Marcus probably 4 or 5 times from hand today just to pop a regular rookie. Like, in my last Shine match, he was trying really hard to just set up a rookie on board so he could do Marcus shenanigans on me next turn.
Yeah.
I just played my own Marcus to get rid of it, to prevent that. And then I have a memory setter, which turns Omni on a lot sooner than the memory choke game.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the Marcuses early enough in the Hunters matchups, and Hunters was really good at memory choking me, so that really hurt. But Porcupamon, Marcus, they both put in a ton of work today. These ratios are fine, 2 and 2. I have this.
Morbid curiosity, I know that the on play is the big thing for Porcupa. How often does the on deletion actually end up mattering?
It mattered twice, I think, today. Once my opponent deleted it on me, and I was able to pop a rookie they left, kind of sloppy out. And then same thing. It's Shine players like leaving rookies out against me for some reason.
Usually because we have to, but that makes sense.
I think it was to distract from the Gallant pop, honestly. But when I have Porcupamon out, I can kill it to security and still get the rookie kill, which is really nice. Ciel is I like it. It has its purpose. It's a 1-of in my deck because I can't bump this to 2.
Yeah.
The search is good. You get 1 Royal Knight, trash 2. The reboot play is only ever done after I've Omnied, something goes wrong, and I can't close game. You throw down Ciel to pass turn, everything reboots. Hopefully you have a Leopard out to give everything blocker as well. Only time I really use Ciel is if I'm like desperate for search, or I couldn't close game. Otherwise, Ciel gets trashed more often than not, in all honesty. But
makes sense.
It's a good backup card. If I have this in hand and I don't need to be playing it, it definitely just stays in hand for the Omni play to give everything reboot and hope I have blocker on everything.
Kind of in a lot of ways, it's just Prince Magnamon, but not paying 11.
Exactly. Now the 3-ofs. There's a ton of 3-ofs in this deck because all these pieces are super important. We'll start with Leopard because Leopard is cheeky and amazing. I did not get to do the Leopard
realize
play today.
how good this was initially.
I put this originally as a 2-of in the deck. Once I figured out the Leopardmon play to double reduce per se, it's amazing. I did not pull this off once today though.
Okay. Quick thing, just because Judge Brain and I have seen so many people get this wrong and I hate it. So, to be clear, with Leopardmon, its main effect plays a Digimon, then reduces the cost. You cannot use multiple Leopards together. What you can do is use Leopard to reduce the cost by 4, then have King Drazel reduce it by however the hell much King Drazel already is reducing by. You can't do 2 Leopards together. Stop trying that. It's not a play. I hate you.
But yeah, and then when you play something else, giving all your Royal Knights blocker, again, a great stall tactic if something goes wrong on the Omni turn. Really like the card, leaving it at 3. Alphamon's at 3. This card is amazing at 3. Wouldn't change it. This is great for just stalling. In my Alphamon matchup, literally the last few turns of overtime, we went back and forth, both of us just playing an Omni just to prevent the other person from going for game.
Alpha?
Alpha. Yep.
You said Omni. I'm just making sure. Yeah.
Alpha.
How often do you use it's the alterns, correct? To stop it from being removed from the field? How often do you use that to stop King Drazel from eating your own body?
Never, almost.
Okay.
I don't really need him to stick around. And since he only gets the on play for 1 turn, I'm more than happy to let this go away and then Ganku it right back out from sources.
Makes sense.
Or things along those lines. Very rarely do I put the source to bottom and keep him out. His utility is 100% in the stopping your opponent's big bodies from swinging.
Okay.
Great stall tactic. It saved me in the Royal Knights matchup because we were both stalling. I was able to outstall because I had more. I had 2 alphas and a Ganku, so I was able to do it 3 turns. My opponent was only able to do it 2, so that was able to stall until I burned out, hit their resources to win. In the Alphamon matchup, like I said, to get my tie, we both were just at the end of the game. It's like, you weren't going to let me win, so I'm not going to let you win. They're going to do it. I'm going to do it right back.
Makes sense. Yeah. And that really does seem to be the big thing with, especially the matchup between Royal Knights and Alpha, is just, it's going to be a stall. So it's either who can maintain the stall longest, or who can avoid, or who can break the stall, which it doesn't feel like y'all can break the stall amazingly if you've already cracked the Omni.
No. If you've cracked the Omni and you're trying to stall, you're giving your opponent 10 memory.
Yeah.
At worst, and I did it multiple times today. It's not fun. I don't like doing it, but sometimes it's the only way you can see forward. So I don't mind it in the Royal Knights matchup. If you give your opponent 10, in most cases, there's not a lot of crackback because
they're going to be hard playing stuff that doesn't have a swing. At least it'll have some kind of immediate impact, but not necessarily punishing impact.
Exactly. So you play an alpha, put your opponent to 10 in the Royal Knights matchup or mirror, and they're very much like, oh, well, I can crack back and get rid of it, but I can't do anything because you've stopped me for the entire turn. So Alpha's graded at 3. The new Gallant at 3. This card puts in work in every matchup. You get the reduction from trash consistently. I saw it most commonly at 4, 2 to 4 today.
Okay.
I had it down to a 5 play cost against Hunters, which was kind of nice.
That's kind of impressive considering how much of their own stuff they generally will be able to save.
Honestly, the Hunters matchup was very different from Hunters I've played before because my Hunters opponent was going into a Restra superior mode regularly enough where he was making it big, so we put a ton of source under it. I would find ways to get rid of it, blow it up, and he's losing all his sources.
Yeah.
But the problem with that matchup was turn 1, both games, Tagiru's down, had Taiki 3 of both games, had a U, had 2 Watchmakers both games. There was nothing I could really do other than stall. And then final turn of game 2, they had bottom decked one of their superior modes in one of their searches earlier, and they're like, I know I'm getting close. And I had to give them way too much memory.
Oh, no.
And so he's like, I'm just going to search for it. Plays another Watchmaker, hits it on the first search, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah.
But this card puts in work. You get the when attacking and the on play to pop things. This is my key piece against War Greymon, simply to get around all the protection. Typically, they leave their bodies above 13k, and I will have to come in, on play, swing, just to get rid of protection. Or what I'll combo is I will play the Gallant first, and then try and sneak in a cheap Ulforce to strip and bounce it, just to get the sources down to where I need them.
So you play the Gallant so that they already have to strip some number of sources, especially since they can't usually strip ex-ante. So they're stripping 2 sources, then you play out the Ulforce strip. That would be, 4 sources, and then bounce it?
Yeah. Right. So Gallant is really nice when you're playing against someone and they got the one of black-red or gray X in sources.
Yeah.
Because typically they'll strip the X antibody first, and then that makes Ulforce live. So you'll hit them with that, and then try and strip the rest of the way down with Ulforce, or even just getting rid of sources. Like, if they have an X antibody in sources, Ulforce is completely turned off.
Yeah.
But if they don't, the Gallant gets in there and can help you get that to the manageable number here. So, like, this is a combo I really like.
And Gallant is not a once per turn, right?
No, it is not. It's on play and when attacking.
Play it without using Purge. You can play it, attempt the deletion, and then also do the deletion when swinging.
100%, and that's typically what comes up, especially in the War Gray matchup. This is great against Quartzmon as well. This is great against all the big bodies, because most of the bigger ones don't have protection anymore.
Yeah.
You bring it in, get rid of Quartz. You bring it in. I don't think I got to use this against the Bloom Hydra match.
Oh, because it would have hit the little bodies more than anything? If you had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the best cards in the deck, honestly. Like, this thing puts in work. 3 of is where you want to keep it, though. I don't think this goes up to a 4 of. Ulforce is my next favorite card, honestly. Right below Gallant.
Can you tell he's a blue player?
See? Right? This card is so good. One of the better plays is to, like, purge things out, so you get bodies out for free, and then you slap this down. Or if, like, you're sitting at, like, a 4, you can then do a Sistermon as well, and that adds to the source strip, because it only counts every... Oh, no, it only does Royal Knights. Take that back. It only does Royal Knights and the Blue Tamers. But it's such a good card for source strip. When you do your Omni turn, if Ulforce is in here, I will usually pick the Ulforce effect to get rid of bodies, or I'll trigger Ulforce first to get rid of all of Wargray's protection, even if I can't bounce it because of an X antibody. Ulforce just is one of those cards. It comes in and it's very versatile. I really like this card. And then you just bounce something with no sources. I really like Ulforce. It's a very good utility piece.
Yeah, I was definitely underestimating it before seeing your deck in action.
Yeah. Craniamon is next up. Craniamon's really good against a lot of matchups. On play, immune to your opponent's Digimon's effects. So this comes out. Shine can't DP reduce you. Bloom Hydra can't suspend you. Blue can't bounce you. Ariakin can't pop you, which is always really nice.
Important note too, because some people get this a little screwy. You can't use Arrestromon Superior to move something else under Craniamon because it's still in effect trying to target it. It's basically the same thing that happens if you try and move something under Mother D Reaper, where it just goes, I can't be targeted, so it doesn't matter that you're moving something else. You're moving it under me, and I can't be affected. So no.
Exactly, and during round 7, it came up with Ruin Mode, where I force Ruin Mode to attack, so it has to die, and it's still technically the opponent's turn, so Crania doesn't get popped off that either, and I'm able to get rid of a 15k body without spending any memory. I have to let the swing through or lose the Crania, which one check off of Ruin Mode is not a big deal. So, like, Craniamon is a really key piece in a lot of matchups. Shine is super important because after burst, if they burst mode, this will just sit on the board and laugh at them. And then when burst mode goes away, force their Shine to attack. Because for some reason, Fen, you're the only Shine player I've played against that actually does swing with their burst mode. Everyone I played
know why I'm the only one who does it, but I've needed it for lethal so often that I'm just the red mist is descended. We're punching now.
Yeah, it's crazy because they'll let their burst mode go away, and then it's like, oh yeah, Craniamon's gonna force you to attack.
I'm running the Koromon egg specifically so that I can draw cards. Of course, I'm swinging with it.
Right? A lot of people didn't, and it cost them games. This card that is great.
One other note, technically this doesn't have an errata yet, but we always, in English, stick with Japanese text. That opponent's turn effect is may. There's been no official statement on it as an errata, but it is supposed to be a may. It's not a forced effect.
Yeah. Really like Crania. It's key in a lot of matchups.
Yeah. Basically, you're one of the only decks now with any kind of protection because of Crania. Because most of us don't have that much anymore.
That's a good point. I mean, you still have to, Wargreymon is always
It's basically Wargrey is the only one with any protection effects, and they don't get it that consistently.
Yeah. Next up is Ganku, another 13k blocker. On play effect is either bring a Sistermon from trash or pull a Royal Knight from your egg stack. I really like Ganku to combo things. So you play Ganku to bring Alphamon out again, and then when it goes away, you play another Ganku to bring Alphamon out. You play Ganku to bring out Jesmon and get that 8k pop. You do Ganku to bring Ulforce to get 4 sources stripped and bounce. I really think Ganku does the best when you're comboing with a Royal Knight. And when you do your final turn, if you have a Ganku and sources, your Omnimon brings it out. Ganku pulls a Sistermon from trash, and that Sistermon also gains Rush off the Omnimon effect, just giving you an extra swing your opponent may not be calculating. Yeah.
So, outside of the Omnimon turn, how often does the grab a Sistermon from trash actually come up, though?
When I'm super desperate. I did it once today. I needed to pull a Blanc for search.
Makes sense, yeah.
I didn't want to do it, but it is an option, and I have done it. Also great because since nothing in this deck can hit Sistermons, if your Ciel got burned in one of your searches, Ganku brings back Ciel, and you immediately have reboot on everything. So, Ganku's super versatile, super great card. 3 of, I'm considering if 4 of on Ganku.
Now that I'm thinking about it, do all of your searches trash and not bottom deck?
All searches trash.
Okay, I thought so. I knew Dynast did, and I know functionally Blanc doesn't search, but you trash to draw 2, so just...
Yeah. And Ciel trashes.
Okay.
So I would almost consider Ganku a 4 of. Ganku is really, really good in this deck. It's really important.
What on earth would you cut for it?
I would cut a Blanc.
Huh, okay! I would not have guessed that.
Next up is Blanc. I don't hate Blanc. I don't love Blanc either.
She draws cards.
You discard 1, you draw 2. There were so many times where I needed search, so I feel I wouldn't... This is where I'm stuck, right? I want to cut a Blanc, but the deck needs search, but there were so many times where it's opening turn, you have like Omnimon, Alphamon, Craniamon, and something else in hand, and you have to you play a Blanc, and you got to pitch one of these key pieces to draw 2 and hope you see another one. It's easier when you're getting a card that's not important to the matchup. So like Alphamon against Hunters, I'll Blanc an Alphamon to trash. Draw 2, no problem. But like some matchups, you just like, I really don't want to throw something away. It's always really nice to open 2 Blancs because I can just discard 1. You can
discard a Blanc to play with the Blanc effect, yeah.
Typically,
you said the decoy came up like once today?
Yes, decoy came up once, and it was with a Ganku. I had used Ganku to play the Blanc to get more search, and then they did something to delete it. I think it was a I don't remember what the removal was, but the decoy is nice because you just burn the Blanc and you can save a red or black Digimon. It's come up once. It's there when you need it. I want to say
it's most important. It is a corner case, but hey, it's a beneficial corner case.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I might cut Blanc to 2. I probably won't. This deck feels really good the way it is. So, next is Magna at 3. Everyone says Magna turn 1 is like a great opener. Not my favorite. Don't really like it as the opener. Yeah, you get to play it out for 2, so you're not giving your opponent 4 or 5 memory like most starting hands. I did it a few times today, but Magna's a blocker. You functionally never use Magna as a blocker, though. I used Magna as a blocker once against Shine because they DP reduced it by 2k and swung a Marcus, and I'm like, I can still block you with this Magna, so I'm going to.
Because it has the, is it all turns when it would be deleted, you draw 1?
When this would leave the battle area, draw 1.
Okay.
So you get the draw no matter what when Magna is played. Whether it's getting tucked, put to security, thrown into trash, deleted, you get the draw. I like this as kind of like a late game card. Like, I need to get 3 blockers onto board or something. So then you Ganku, you bring out a blocker from sources, and then you just hard play the 7-cost Magna, and you have 3 blockers on board. And that's when that's when I feel it's the most powerful. Because then this is your first block, you get to draw another card. And maybe find a way around it.
You're seeing it as a survival tactic, whereas a lot of people are playing it as a kind of memory screw and a very slow cantrip.
Yeah, it's not my favorite of the Royal Knights. It's got its purposes. It stays at 3 because the draw is really important in this deck. Mm-hmm. And I really wouldn't cut any of the draw power of this deck for anything. But Magna does do its thing. It's on deletion to play a Vmon never comes up in this deck because we don't run Vmons.
You're not playing Vmons.
Yeah, that's somebody's mistake. Omekamon, the best card to open with. I don't care if I'm giving my opponent 4. They immediately either deal with this or I'm getting chip damage for turns. Because Omekamon is surprisingly hard to kill.
4K is a weird DP. Because, anything sub 3K, half the decks right now can just murder it. Anything level 3, blue bounces accidentally. But level 4, 4 cost, and 4 DP is just... This takes... Usually, like, Shine needs 2 of their DP reductions, or it needs a DP reduction and one of the BT13 inheritables to pop it. It's such a weird number that it's actually kind of a pain to kill.
Exactly. And people don't want to kill it, which is phenomenal, right? So people will let this sit on board, and I can get chip damage 2 to 3 turns with this, which means I can play my Omni sooner, which means my opponent's getting a little more pressure. And then even if they do decide, yeah, whatever, I'll kill it on deletion, I get to put a Royal Knight from hand into my sources. So it dies, I'm happy. It lives, I'm happy. This card, like, 4 ofs all day. I've seen lists that only run this at 2 of, and that is a huge mistake.
Yeah, that seems suboptimal at best.
Yeah. Next up is Dynasmon is an amazing board wipe, as well as the deck's best searcher, probably.
Yeah, digs for 4?
Yep, top 4, take 2 Royal Knights, trash the rest. But its your turn effect is when you play a Lucemon or a Royal Knight, delete all your opponent's level 4 or lowers. Great against Bloom Hydra. Would have been really good against Hunters had I seen it.
Oh, it just was hiding the entire Hunters game?
I didn't have a way to get it out and another Royal Knight for the board wipe.
And this is one of the few you don't have fully blinged out, isn't it?
This is the only card in the deck.
Oh no!
That is the only one. I'm getting it at Gen Con.
Okay.
I've got a friend of a friend who's trading it or selling it to me, so it's coming. But this is really a key piece. One of the few I run at 4 of, just because the search is so powerful, and that board wipe comes up a lot. I will purge this out of sources and then do my reduced cost play to blow things up. This can combo really well with Jesmon and Ulforce the same way Gankoomon does, where if this is on board and then you Gankoomon and pull another one out, that's immediately 6 and you're blowing up all the level 4s and lower. This is a great freaking card. If your opponent is using the can't play by effects Pomu, you throw this out, and then for the reduced cost, hard play a Magna, combo and blow it up. I had to do that once today. Didn't feel great giving my opponent, I think I gave him 5 memory off that play. But I got rid of the Pomu.
You still got rid of the Pomu, so now it's not a problem that you have to deal with in the future. And you still got a search off.
Yeah, got a search, got a blocker. It worked. Dynus is an amazing card. Like both of its effects are really good. Next up, of course, we have 4 of Omnis.
I love this.
Honestly,
you got the alt art Omnis before you got 4 alt art Dynus.
Yeah, right? The Dynus just was pretty low on the priority list.
And then you realized how good it was.
I've always been a fan of the Dynus. Dynus started at 4 and stayed at 4 the entire time.
Okay.
Dynus is the best searcher in the Royal Knight, so it had to stay at 4. But Omni, cheapest removal in game. I cannot count how many times I was just like, I play Omni for the reduced cost and blow that up. Its on play is just delete one of your opponent's Digimon. No level restriction, no DP, no restriction. Just delete something.
Just you, go away.
Yeah, and I play this out for 4 more often than not, just for a deletion. If I have 2 Omnis in hand, one of them is getting used for deletion, then it goes into sources, and
so
when I do my
2 Omnis when you play the Omni.
Yeah, then I play out my other Omni, this Omni comes out, guess what? I'm blowing something else up. Because you still get that on play. This card is such good removal that you can't fight with just delete something.
Delete something with no targeting restrictions at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This card puts in a lot of work, and there was this happened last night during the Crossheart matchup. When I was playing Jordan. Jordan cross 7'd with no tamers out, just to kind of clear my board. I only had 1 Omni in hand, but you know what? I was like, I'm going to just blow you up. You don't get to save any of that, and I get rid of your big threatening body. I mean, it took me a while I think I still lost that game, because we both were bricking pretty bad. Yeah. But I didn't feel bad about it, because it was like, I don't mind playing this Omni for deletion when something is...
remove a huge issue, and cool, you now have an Omni under King Drazel, and if you get the next Omni, all the better.
All the better. And that removal is just, it's amazing. And then the main effect, of course, you play one of every Royal Knight from your stack with the reduced cost, everything gains rush, everything gets their on play effects. Typically that results in another board wipe and then swinging for game when possible. Or you bring it out and try and put out blockers to stall for a turn, swinging some of the unimportant pieces. It has to be a 4 of because the deck revolves around that card.
It is the finisher, and it is frankly one of your best pieces of removal. So
100%.
Yep. And then the 4
the 4 purge. You need this card. It's great deck acceleration. There were more than one turn where I had to play it for more than the 6 gain 3. And it typically comes out at 6 gain 2, which is fine. You draw 1, you throw an important piece into the stack. Again, Examon, BT12 Gallant, Leopardmon are the first 3 targets I want to see in my egg sources. So I just flip that too. Because then when you delay, you bring one of those out, they have rush, and you just start... they don't get their own play effects, which is a bit of a bummer.
All the ones you just listed don't focus on their own play effects.
Exactly.
Hell, Leopard doesn't even have one.
Actually, none of the 3 have an on play, so...
Right, because you're running the Exa that has an on Digivolve, and then the passive all turns, and what was the other one?
BT12 Gallant.
Right, yes, who has... It's just a when attacking trigger, right?
I believe he has a when Digivolving. Yeah, it's got a when Digivolving delete a 6,000 DP or less.
But that never comes up since you can't Digivolve.
100%. There's no level 5s to Digivolve onto.
Yeah.
But yeah, games you don't see this card, you really feel it. Because you don't get into your stuff as fast. You don't have as many counter plays without this. The games I lost against specifically Hunters, I didn't see these, and I think I drew 1 both games. You really feel it. When this comes out of security in the mirror match, this happened during my mirror match. My opponent hits one. He hit it out of my security, gained 3 memory. I had done a really good job of memory choking, and it put him to 4. He couldn't capitalize on it because he'd already used his reduced cost.
Ooh, that does hurt.
It does. So it was lucky for me, but that's a funny little interaction. I haven't done it yet. I had one opponent hit 2 of them out of security back to back, so I just had to. But it was a game where I was really hurting for sources, so I couldn't capitalize with them. But if you're having a decent game and these come out of security, your opponent is immediately worried because they're looking at your sources going, okay, what's going to come out next turn that couldn't have come out before? This card is great. Obviously a 4 of.
Okay.
And then, of course, the Kings, you only run 4.
You're not running the secret 5th egg of a mother to absorb and hope that you don't accidentally have it as your opener?
I have thought about it as a cheeky tech. I really have. But the
game where it's your first egg, you just lose.
Yeah, 100%. It is too high roll of a tech. Anybody who does it is much braver than I am. But yeah, you run 4 of these. The inheritable, when you're in stack, you get to reduce the cost of Royal Knight option card. Or not reduce cost. You gain memory back.
Gain memory back, not reduce cost, yeah.
Yeah. This came up in the mirror because they were using Sagan Mopa. So they were able to play that and gain memory off of it. Some people were Master and Disciple.
Do not gain memory off of using Seiken Mappa.
You don't?
No, because it's when a option with Royal Knights in its traits enters the battle area. So
they were cheating.
Yes, it only triggers off of Purge, Royal Knights of the Purge, and from Master to Disciple, because these are the only 2 option cards that have delay, and therefore place themselves in the battle area, and have the Royal Knights trait.
Yeah, I did not know that. That almost lost me a game because they used it to go into GX, but now I know.
So I was going to ask, too, because someone else in chat asked, how do you feel about the GX tech? Because I'm guessing you seem real happy with this list, so you're probably not thinking of finding ways to run GX in the second Mappa. I
don't have room for it. It's a good tech. I like Examon a lot better than the GX tech. GX is cheeky. I can see why a lot of people run it. I would
So
have
now
to
that you
test
found
it.
out an opponent was reading a card wrong.
I mean, I still won, so I'm not salty about it. But
It's
I
more
don't...
just it's less good after you realize you don't gain memory off the Psychic Mappa.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't think... Like, I wouldn't know what to cut. Like, I would have to probably cut the BT12 Gallant to run a 1 of GX.
And I don't... Given how that Gallant seems to be working for you, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, I see it. It's really cheeky, because they did this to me, where they pull the Alpha into sources on GX, and then they get to do 3 checks, and I can't attack next turn.
Yeah.
It's a really good combo. I don't think it's necessary in the deck, because even when they do that, you just find a way to blow it up with Gallant, because it's a 15k body that's going to sit there, and then they lose that Royal Knight if they purge it out,
and
you
any
sink
sources
off
that they
sources
threw under it with Psychic Mappa, yeah.
Yeah, it's too easy for this deck to blow it up for it to really matter.
Yeah, I don't think it's great in the mirror, but it definitely is a tech that I've seen people play against stuff like Shine. Just because it's swinging for 3 checks at 15, and Shine, we have a bad habit of sometimes getting to recover a whole bunch of Marcuses and throw them into security.
Exactly. So, like, if I'm gonna cut something for that, those are the 3 cards on the chopping block. If I were gonna run it, it would be a 1 of tech, but then I'd be running 4 1 of techs in the deck.
And I think
Well,
you're really in a good spot, provably.
Yeah, like, the deck did phenomenal today. I think I like this build. If anything, it would be the Gallant. Like, the Gallant would go and the GX would come in. I wouldn't run Sengen Mappa. But that is probably where we landed, be between these two. Like I said before, I can't cut any more search. Yeah. So I would cut one of these two. I like Ulforce as a blue player, so this is probably some confirmation bias. I like this because I get to trash security. Like, if I'm playing a Shine player and they put a Marcus on top of security, and I don't have anything to pop, I get to trash a Marcus.
Yeah. And while I agree you are definitely a blue player and have some amount of bias, your argument for Ulforce is very clear and makes perfect sense for why it's really good for removing a lot of the problem cards that actually do have some level of protection.
Exactly. So, like, 3 of, like, it'd be one of these two, but they both have really good, like, they have really good matchups into the meta right now, so I get it. I'm glad people are using it as their tech, so...
Yeah, I will forever continue to maintain that I think that the Psychic Mappa and GX is good tech, but also, frankly, you probably want to run Kintarosmon if you're doing that. And that's I think, the only Royal Knight we established you're not running.
Yeah, I don't like Kintarosmon. Yeah. I tested it in the beginning as a 2 of, and every time I had it in hand, I couldn't get the effects to trigger properly to make it worthwhile.
I don't think that survived more than a single iteration of this deck.
No, it did not.
I literally did not play against this deck when it had Kintarosmons in it.
Nope. I got rid of it pretty quick. This version feels good. This is pretty heavily inspired by the Wong Zero video. But I have made changes to it.
Yeah, the Porcupamon was sort of... Some people were running it, but it was definitely like one of those, and now suddenly people remember that we can run this.
Yeah, it was definitely in the Japanese lists. So that's kind of why I nabbed it.
Did Hong Zero's list didn't have... that was one of the ones that was only running 2 Omechas, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
It was absolutely not a great list, but it did have good bones, and it kind of inspired the toolboxiness of this deck now, which is why I really like it. I like having answers to random scenarios, and 80% of the time I have an answer because there are multiple ways to counter decks right now, and this deck really does a good job of it.
I adore that your description is making other people want to play Royal Knights now.
I'm glad. This deck is fun. It's not overpowered. It takes a good bit of thought every turn. Once you know it, like my SetCon opponent was complaining about their opponent stalling for time. And by the end of the match against that player, I was like, okay, you spent a whole minute there thinking about, am I going to play Flame Hell Scythe or Chaos Degradation? And I'm like, you're the one stalling for time. This deck has so many options, and once you're good at it, you kind of just know this is the best card for this scenario. This buys me another turn. This derails them, and then gives me a turn to capitalize on the scenarios. Like, this deck is just, it's very flexible, and that's why I really like it. And toolbox decks, like back in BT5 when Lord Knight was running rampant, I really tried to make a black toolbox deck based off of Ying's list. No, that's the wrong name. But they had a black toolbox they had topped with, and I tried doing black toolbox because the idea sounded really good to me. And ever since, it's kind of been in the back of my mind to like have a toolbox deck. This is the toolbox deck. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, this is very situational, very good at countering. Like, this is what I would consider the quintessential toolbox deck right now.
Yeah, like it is very clearly you have a couple of cards that are functionally the solution for almost every deck.
Yeah, exactly. And now I can take my picture for tomorrow's tournament.
We're both fools playing in tomorrow's tournament. I hope you enjoyed that impromptu deck profile. If you liked it and want to support what we do, you can subscribe here on YouTube, as well as go to beacons.ai/layeroflore down in the description to find all of the other places that we exist, including the Discord, Twitter, Blue Sky if I've gotten caught up on it, YouTube, the website, Twitch. I exist everywhere. Deal with it. Thank you very much. And this is brought to you by you, thanks to amazing viewers and supporters like you, especially April, Fragile Paper, Pinball Witch, Yelk, and Pimento. You'd think after saying some of these names for years I'd get used to it, but no. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great night, or day, or time zone, whatever.